Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown up into being the person that I am today. And last Friday, a week ago Friday, I announced that I was going to start doing a series, I guess it's called a series, I don't know, on this channel called Dear Peter, kind of like Dear Abby of yesteryear, where people send me requests for advice and then I give it back to them. It is Saturday, so I forgot yesterday to post one. I'm going to have to put it on my calendar and remember to do this every Friday. I got so many emails, you guys, and I sat through them and I read through all of the emails, and I put them in a special file in my email just called Dear Peter. So if you don't get your advice request answered today or next week, you might just happen to have it turn up at one point or another. The one thing I found was that almost every email that I received had kind of this universal lesson to it, right? So most of them were not specific. You know, I received an email from a young lady that's in high school that doesn't know what to do with the rest of her life when all of her friends are, going on and they already have plans and she doesn't know what to do. So I'll probably talk about that at some time because I think that's very important. No matter if you're 17 or 30, a lot of times we don't know what we want to do with our lives. And I received a lot of messages about toxic environments and negativity in the workplace. And I think that's a really important lesson to talk about. And I'm going to talk about that too. The one that I chose to talk about today is actually about relationships. And I thought, being that Valentine's Day is around the corner, and I think a lot of times I love Valentine's Day, whether I'm single or I'm with somebody, and I've, been in a relationship with my husband now for almost 10 years. This is our 10th Valentine's Day together. So, I really enjoy Valentine's Day. I will say that when you're alone for holidays like Valentine's Day or Christmas and, holidays that make you think about love or relationships or coupling up and things like that, it's hard. You think to yourself, am I ever going to find that? Am I ever going to be happy again? And, I remember years ago I had this conversation with my mom. I kind of joked about this on my vlog one night. We were sitting around talking and Jerry Springer was on in the background, and it was this woman and these two men were fighting over her. And I said to my mom, I don't understand how this woman can have two men fighting over her, and yet I can't even find one person that wants to be with me. And my mom said, look at who the people are that we're watching, first of all. But then she kind of like got out of the jokiness of it, and she said, but Peter, she goes, the reality is none of us are promised a mate in life. She said there are a lot of people that will go their entire life without ever having any kind of romantic love. To even have it one time is a gift, And she said the real art is learning to love yourself and meeting your own needs, being surrounded by friends and things you like to do. And then if somebody comes in your life romantically, it's a gift. So I received this gift of a relationship. I received this email, and she asked me to keep her name out of it, so I will. But I wanted to read this. I think this is a really important relationship piece of advice, and it's something that I talked about, with my friends. I will say this going forward. Anytime I do these Dear Peter advice videos, they're just based on my personal experience. There's nothing professional behind this, so I want you to know these are just based on personal experiences, the advice that I give. Hey Peter. I dated a guy for 4 years, and we were due to get engaged December 2017. I really felt like I was going to spend my whole life with him. He brought me through many of the worst parts of my life, like helping me go no contact from my abusive parents, and have so many moments together that it felt like we were one in a million. In August, he told me he had lost all feelings for me. He packed up and moved out. He was horrible to me building up to the breakup, and even worse after, even phoning me to tell me how happy he was without me in his life. Now he is wanting to be friends and meet up to catch up at times. We met up to catch up, and it was clear he had no feelings for me still. It feels like it's still been an eternity since dating him, and I'm still not over it. I keep feeling that. I keep feeling that. I'm a 25-year-old woman now, and I'm past my prime. How do you get over that feeling of fear of never being loved again? And how do I get my ex totally out of my life? Okay, so you're asking several questions here. And number one, I think it's interesting that you say you're 25 and you're past your prime. No, you're not. You are in your prime, not even in it yet, I really, when I look back on my life at 45, I feel like the beginning of my prime started at about 35, honest to God. It was like, I had gone through life changes. I had been through part of my major career of my life. I had loved enough to learn. I had lost some people in my life. And at 35, I kind of just didn't give a shit enough to care. But I wanted to make myself happy. And that was like when things started really changing for me, especially around my mom's death a year after that, And, but preceding that, 35 was a big year for me. And, don't ever think you're past your prime. When I see couples that meet up in a retirement home and, they get married and they're 75, 85, something like that, I think that's so cool, right? On my vlog the other night, I was talking about how there was a couple in our neighborhood. I used to sit on my front porch and read a lot. And there was a couple in my neighborhood, and they would walk. And we're kind of like in this, it's like a crazy 8 with 2 lakes, and the condos are built around it. And they would walk down the street every day, and he had one of those walkers with wheels. And he was obviously much older than she was. Well, one day I noticed that he no longer was walking with her. And I just was like, oh, that's so sad. Like, she would walk, and he wasn't with her. And I don't know if he went to an assisted living program or if he passed away. I was assuming that he had passed away. About 2 months after that, I noticed she started walking with another gentleman. And I was like, well, all right, girl, you met somebody, Listen, we're never past our prime. Love has no age limits. I've also said this at many times in my life that I feel like, when I was in high school at 15, the butterflies that I felt in my stomach for people are very similar to the butterflies that I have for my husband today. I don't think that feeling changes over time. One of the things I hate when parents say is when they tell a teenager, you don't know what love is, or, you couldn't possibly know what love is yet. I don't think that's true. And I think really we as family members and friends teach people what love is and what that feels like. So, in getting over an ex, I think it's really, really difficult. Without talking badly about my ex or being mean to him and building up all of that, I kind of was the ex of this situation. I was the one that wanted to catch up and try to be friends and all this kind of stuff. And what was interesting to me is, and I shared this on one of my videos the other night, was that at about 2 months, I called my ex and I said, please come over, let's talk things out, we can make it work, whatever. Because really at that point, what it was that I was healing on the inside, coming out, but I didn't really know what that looked like. And I was so terrified of who I was. I mean, you're talking about 4 years with somebody, even if it's, 6 months, that's a long time to be with somebody. We don't really know who we are without that person in our life, if that makes sense. And we don't know what our life will look like when we've spent every day with that person, And it's terrifying. It's terrifying to know, what will our life look like next? And so we want to resort back to what we know, even if that is chaos. We want to pick up the phone and dial up pain, even if we know that's chaos and that hurts. We want to do that until we've moved forward and really set some boundaries in our life. Well, when I called him, I said, come over. He goes, don't do this. He goes, you were the one that wanted to get out of this relationship, which later he said to me, we both knew it wasn't going to work. But, he said, you were the one that wanted to get out of this relationship. Allow me to get over you. And it was really a poignant point. It was like, hey, listen, let me move on. Let me get past you. And, I think a lot of exes don't do that. It's like I've met so many people that are really good friends with their exes. That makes no sense to me, okay? I mean, I understand being civil. I'm civil with all my exes. I haven't even talked to my ex that I was in a relationship with before, probably in 4 or 5 years, honest to God. And but if I saw him, would I be civil? Absolutely. Do I want to know who he's? No, I don't need to know all that kind of stuff. Why do I need to know that, One of the things I tell friends of mine when they come to me and they have the same issue is, just get rid of them off of all social media, okay? Block them on Facebook, block them on Instagram, block them on Snapchat, block them on Twitter, all that kind of stuff, right? It's gonna be more painful for you to see that. If they say something to you like, why are you being a bitch and blocking me on this? All you have to say is, it's too painful for me to see your life without me. If you don't understand that, I'm sorry. It's not really about you. Delete their phone number from your phone, block them. You don't need to have any contact with them. One of the things that people say to me all the time is, they're like, oh, I feel like, I need to have conversations with their family, or I want to see pictures of that. It's too painful, okay? And you're going to move on and they're not going to be part of your life anymore. Why do you need to continue to have that interaction with them? It's not like you were married 25 years, okay? And you guys raised kids together. And then in that situation, I could totally understand it. But this is a different situation. And this is us wanting to still anchor into that relationship. And what we're really saying is there's a part of us that believes that we can make it work. So I think, the getting over your your ex thing isn't something that you can just do. Like, you know when you hear those sayings and people are like, it takes twice as long to get over a relationship as you were in it. So if you were in it for 4 years, it'll take you 8 years to get over it. I don't buy that. I think that's bullshit. I do think, though, that you'll get over it, and I don't know what that really means, getting over it. I think each of us should define that differently. For me, it's moving through it, feeling the pain, realizing, hey, and this is how I approach my past relationships. We had some really, really good times. It didn't work, okay? Were there some cruel issues that happened? Sure. Were there some ugly things in there? Sure. Do I need to focus on that? No. I can look at it, I can take the lessons, and I can move on, right? But I don't need to be calling him up every day, and I don't need to be talking to him, and I don't need to know who he's dating, and I don't need to know who he's kissing and all that kind of stuff. When Alex and I started dating, we went out to a bar here, a local gay club, and I said to Alex, I said, now if we run into him, I said, you know, like, let's not be like real PDA because I don't want to shove that in his face or anything like that. Well, my ex was like out on the dance floor, like with his tongue down somebody else's throat. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm trying to be respectful here. I see what game we're playing. But, you know, we don't have to play that, you know, like, you know, tit for tat kind of thing. The relationship's over. Like, it's done, you know? And one of my really good friends, I shared this in here recently too, he said to me, like 6 months, 8 months after I had broken up with my ex, and it was very much mutual. It wasn't I broke up. It was, you know, he said, I don't think this is working. What do you want to do? And I said, I think it's over. So it was very mutual. I don't think it matters who breaks up with who. I think that's a discussion that the 12-year-olds should be having. You know, I don't ever think it matters who breaks up with who. From reading this message, what I would say, my friend said to me, I wanted to have this conversation about it like 8 months later because I was still kind of entertaining, like, oh, I could get back together, I can make this work, right? And he looked at me and he goes, this is a stupid conversation, why do you want to have it? And I go, because I want to talk about it. And he goes, he's your ex for a reason. Like, there's a reason why it didn't work after 6.5 years. And I think we have to remember that. You know, if you're in a relationship and you're not willing to go to counseling, you're not willing to work on things, chances are, after being apart for a while, you're not going to get together and it'll work. Have I heard stories where it does happen? Absolutely. You know, there's exceptions to every rule. But, you know, when I read this, and I read that he was cruel to you before you broke up, okay, red flag. You know, that he told you, I'm not in love with you anymore, red flag. My first ex told me that. I'm even kind of embarrassed to say this story. We were in the middle of being intimate, and he said to me, like, he like got up and walked in the other room, and I followed him. I was like, what's going on? He's like, I'm not in love with you anymore. This was after 5 years. I was like, I remember feeling like every bit of the air in the room just vanished, like, instantly. And I got dressed and I went to my mom's house and I sat there and talked to her and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I remember I went home and he was like, you know, we can figure this out. I said, you're not in love with me anymore. Like, there's nothing to work out, you know, like there's nothing else I can do. And it was painful. You know, it hurt like shit. But I'm sitting here today, 3 relationships later, and I'm doing just fine. And so is he. So, you know, you're going to be fine. You're going to meet new people. You're going to date. You got to get out of yourself and take some risks. You know, December 17th, you were supposed to get married. It's February. You're really raw. Take some time to be true to yourself. I always recommend to people to take 6 months to a year to heal and take care of themselves and just give that time to themselves. You know, travel a little bit by yourself. Spend some time with your family. Spend some time with your friends. Get to know who you are all over again before you move on to another relationship, because you don't want to carry all of that other stuff in there, you know? I think if I were in the same situation that you're asking and this person wanted to continue to catch up, and I'd say, what are we doing? Like, what is it you want from me? And when they say, oh, I don't know, I miss you, say, well, you wanted out of this relationship, so what is it that you miss from me? Like, what is it you're wanting long term? I would like us to be friends. Okay, so then you ask yourself, whatever they say to you, I would like to be friends, I'd like to date you again, I want to get back together with you, and I'm not going to pass judgment on whatever choice you make, right? But you got to ask yourself in that moment, am I capable of giving this person what they want? Because really what this is about is you, not them. Okay, you agreeing to the standards and the boundaries that somebody else is setting for you, and you've got to ask yourself, am I willing to do those things? And so, you know, if they say to you, like, I just want to be friends, you got to ask yourself, can I be friends with my ex? And being somebody's friend means going out to dinner with them and the new person they're dating, hearing about how wonderful their vacation was, you know, seeing their life move on. If you can do that, you're a better person than I am, because I don't want to know any of that kind of stuff. You know, if they say to you, like, I want to get back together with you, you have to say, you know, to yourself, like, do I think it's worth it? what are the conditions and non-negotiables that I'm going to go through in getting back together with this person, okay? We're going to go to counseling. We're not going to move in together. You're going to change the way that you talk to me. You have to start asking yourself, what is it that you need from the person that you're going to negotiate with this with? For me, what I would say is just say, hey, listen, we caught up. It was great. I wish you the best. Let me get over you. Let me move on and have a life of my own. You didn't want to be with me anymore. I don't know what that was about. That was something that changed in you. I haven't changed. I'm still the same person. I can't be who you want me to be. Go find who you want to be with, okay? But it's not me. Allow me to move on and have the best life possible. We all deserve the best life possible. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. If you have any questions or advice that you want for the Dear Peter advice videos, leave them in the comment section below or email them to me. The email is listed below. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.